What's up, guys? Welcome back to Let's Play Dragon Quest Heroes! Alright, we're going to continue through the dark, dank halls of Grannet in search for Beryl's family, the Dwarf King. So, this is going to be a long and somewhat tedious mission, but we'll get through it pretty quickly. This video is not going to go too much over time, which you'll see on our mini-map here as we begin this chapter, kind of what we're in for, and you'll see how this is sort of like a sprawling labyrinth map, and so it kind of telegraphs where we're going to end up, though, which is almost a bit of a spoiler. It kind of ruins the whole labyrinthian aesthetic, but honestly, it's not one of my favorite chapters. I'm glad that they don't make it too difficult, and you do actually have to fight some pretty challenging enemies towards the end, but the fact that we have to go through these tunnels and then backtrack for no reason is kind of annoying. So what's essentially what's going to happen here is we're escorting Beryl, which obviously escort missions have become a cliche almost within any genre of games. We're like, oh boy, here we go, an escort mission. Like, it's just been one of those tropes that people love to make fun of, and for good reason. There's a lot of games where you have to escort an NPC that has a health bar, and in doing so, they have terrible AI. You can't get them out of harm's way. You're doing your best, but they keep throwing themselves in front of the enemy. Some of the most famous examples of this being like the Ashley type character from Resident Evil 4 is a great example of that. But anyway, it's not terrible here in Dragon Quest Heroes. But basically what's going to happen is we have to wait for Beryl to reach a certain point on her natural progression, and she will essentially trigger the next section of the map to open up when she's reached a certain point. So we essentially have to clear out all the enemies and allow her to naturally progress, and then it'll unlock the next phase of the fight.
He's not here. Come on, let's look.
Really wish I had room to pick up that troll token. That would be really useful right now. We will get more slots for our monster tokens later on. If you could probably already tell, we have more slots than what we started out with at the beginning of the game, which is really important. The game is asking me to protect her, and yet there's no enemies around here. However, 2 Maw-keepers have spawned in back the way we came, and another one at the top of the map there, which is also kind of in the other direction. So once you'll actually see in the big center area there on the map, you'll see, essentially 3 different entry points that are locked doors right now, and a lot of those entry points will become accessible after we've made so much progress through here. So the character, I still have the same setup as last time. I have, let's see, I have Terry, Elena, and Jessica as my party, and Bianca and Nera are, I'm not sure if they are, I don't think they're playable yet until the end of this chapter, but we'll be playing as them very soon. I'm going to wait until we get to the next area to really demonstrate them, and make sure I actually buy their abilities before trying to drive them into combat. That would be pretty important. But yeah, they are both great characters. Originating from Dragon Quest V. I'm definitely going to make time to play through Dragon Quest V this year on the DS version. So, Dragon Quest V was the first game to not be localized in America on its initial release. It was also the first game to really make the jump to the 16-bit era with the Super Famicom. So Dragon Quest 1 through 4 all had a Famicom release and an NES release. Then we got to 5 is when they made the push to the Super Famicom, which also resulted in Dragon Quest 1 through 4 also having a Super Famicom release, with 4 also getting a PS1 release. So then 5 was remade again, and then again. So we have the PS2 remake, which came out in 2004 in Japan only. I have that as well. It's a great remake. The graphics are somewhere between the PS1 version of Dragon Quest VII and Dragon Quest VIII. They're not quite as good as Dragon Quest VIII, of course. But it's quite an enjoyable remake. I wish we had an English localization of that. That would have been fantastic. But alas, we didn't. But we do have the DS version, which is probably the most superior version and has all the features you could really care about. I love the DS versions of 4, 5, and 6. To me, that's the best way to play Dragon Quest. A lot of people in the Dragon Quest groups talk about playing it on their mobile devices, because apparently Square Enix has released them for digital download on, you know, Apple and Android devices. And I think that's just ridiculous, frankly. I would never play a game like that on a phone when I can, you know, actually own it and hold it in my hand. It's not a Dragon Quest game, not a game that I plan on collecting, so majority of the Square Enix games. As far as how those ports actually play, I'm not 100% sure. I do know that people really chastise them for the ports of the SNES era Final Fantasy games, which are also the best Final Fantasy games. They managed to completely ruin them with the ugliest sprites imaginable and just a poor translation compared to some of the older versions we had. So that's a shame, but I don't think Dragon Quest got quite the same fate from that. So anyway, so Nera and Bianca, they are each a potential bride for the main hero character from Dragon Quest V. So you'll hear them talk periodically that they have someone special they need to be getting back to. That's probably what they're talking about, which makes sense, of course. So Nera is definitely your more magic-based character in Dragon Quest V. She has a huge spell pool that she can learn, and she is sort of this, you know, quiet, demure, very conservative, you know, raised in a religious environment, kind of innocent, childhood sweetheart kind of girl. And then she has a sister named Deborah, who would have been awesome to see in the Dragon Quest Heroes. I will say that because, whoo, she is a babe, but unfortunately she is not playable in Dragon Quest Heroes or Heroes 2. But she is playable exclusively in the DS version of Dragon Quest V. Bianca, on the other hand, Bianca knew the main hero in Dragon Quest V when he was a kid, which is the beginning of the game, of course. So I guess they're sort of like the childhood friend tomboy type character there, which Bianca is actually really great in this game. I can't wait to show her off, but I won't be using her very much, but I honestly feel like I should, and maybe I'll make up for that in Dragon Quest Heroes 2, because I believe both characters do return. So we have another Haxorus here, so you finally get to see another demonstration of those. There's going to be a lot more where that came from, trust me. But yeah, I'm not taking any chances. I'm using Terry's coup de grace to take this thing out, because it is very tough. So, thinking long-term about Terry's natural progression, I really want to invest a lot of points into his maximum MP, because Terry is overall really good, but again, his biggest weaknesses are he's a little bit on the squishy side, and he unfortunately runs out of MP really fast because of his abilities. So he needs to be able to use Falcon Slash to really deal the kind of damage that he needs to deal for that amount of damage, that amount of DPS rather, and to really, you know, serve his intended purpose. So if he doesn't have enough MP to cast those things, there's really no point. So that's definitely really important when it comes to Terry. So getting Falcon Slash Extender and increasing his max MP is pretty important. So I believe we already have Falcon Slash Extender for him. That was one of the first things I got for him. Man, these knights are aggravating.
He's not here.
And even if you don't use Terry for his, you know, for the Falcon Slash, for that somersault attack, he actually is overall pretty well-rounded. Like, he plays very similar to Aurora or Lucius, although I still feel like Aurora, with the way I have her stats and everything, is going to be a little bit overall stronger, especially if I have enough points into her strength, plus a good weapon, plus Blizzard Slash Extender. She's going to be dealing an obscene amount of damage. But it's for more well-rounded overall applications. It's not for those specific instances with Terry where you need to blow up a boss. You know, the graphics look really good here. You can see the lighting and the anti-aliasing and everything coming from those light sources. Definitely looks a lot better than the Japanese PS3 version, but that's kind of a given, right? When I first got the PS4, obviously, this is one of the games I wanted to play the most. And I didn't even realize that it had been out for as long as it had, that it had a PS3 release. I was just really surprised we were even getting this game localized, and now it's sort of set my expectations really high, where it's like, I want everything Dragon Quest to be localized now from now on. So we got Heroes 2, we got Builders, and hopefully we're going to get Dragon Quest 11. So far, I have no reason to believe we're not going to get Dragon Quest 11. Man, Elena just absolutely destroyed that Hunter mech as well. Yeah, for Elena's progression, obviously, she's going to need a lot more HP than what she has. But honestly, I feel like just kind of dumping her points into strength and making sure she has whatever the ability that increases her Divide and Conquer is. And then Multi-Fist Extender is pretty good. There is a ability called Flying Fist that she has that I really don't care for. Like, it's probably decent, but I don't think I will ever actually use it.
Lost in their own town? Don't be blooming.
And her charged attacks are really good as well.
Yeah, maybe. Eh?
So the one thing I don't really seem to get in terms of Dragon Quest Heroes here is, okay, so Nera and Bianca come from the same world that Elena, Kirill, and another character we haven't met yet come from, because it's the same war. That's from the Zenithian trilogy, which is the exact same world. So obviously they wouldn't know who each other are because they come from different timelines. Dragon Quest V is much further in the future from Dragon Quest IV, but it's the same world. So you'd think they would at least recognize names of locations and things like that. And of course, I don't know if they ever really get around to talking about that. Maybe they would recognize those things had they actually had that conversation. Alright, so we're getting ready for the final encounter during this stage, so I want to save up as many of my high tension gauges as I can. Terry's tension gauge is already full again, which, again, his fills up incredibly fast. I'm going to try to take out this first troll here without using anything, and then I may go all out for the next one there. The troll's attacks are luckily pretty easy to dodge because they telegraph that sideways swing so heavily. There we go, we cut him down. Wow, there's 4 trolls over here. Actually, even more than that. There's like a 5th one coming up here soon. This is a really heavyweight fight, but it's going to get even worse as the Haxoruses start coming in. So obviously using those coup de grace for their AoE is pretty useful. This is a great example of what I was talking about earlier, where, you know, the enemies, the density of these encounters are going to get much, much harder, and you're going to be spamming your coup de grace like several times per encounter. And that's just kind of the natural progression of these Musou games, and even it's very specific to Koei Tecmo actually, because in Berserk and the Band of the Hawk, the what is that move called? The super move in that game, I can't think of what it's called. But you use that like over and over and over and over again at the very end of the game. So a couple of Hunter mechs here as well, which again they have the same exact attack pattern, AI script, and everything as those killing machines. So I definitely want to look out for their crossbows. So if I'm over here fighting one of the trolls, I kind of have to keep my eye on those Hunter mechs over there to make sure we're not going to get shot. But luckily they go down much faster than the trolls, which are kind of tanky. And then finally we have the Haxoruses, which again, they don't seem like they would be very much, considering they're much smaller than the trolls, of course, but the amount of damage they deal with their axes is nothing to take for granted. No pun intended. Well, it's Dragon Quest, of course the pun was intended. Well, looks like we pretty much got it made now. Not a whole lot they can do to us at this point. I still have the 2... Well, I think I already deployed the 2 golems. That would be a shame if I still had them. I could use them to fight against these guys. Alright, lastly we have Jessica's coup de grace, the magic burst. We're going to use a couple of her better abilities, and we should be able to take out this first hack source before we even need to use... Yeah, there we go. Now we can go ahead and use magic burst on the last one. She looks so angry! It's really satisfying how it like draws in all of the enemies within the blast radius too. That way it really lets you know that it was effective. Little things like that I feel like are very important for audio-visual feedback when it comes to video games. And having that audio-visual feedback to see your actions take effect is honestly really important for just how much fun you're having, frankly. If I were to use an attack like that and I didn't feel like it would even register with the enemy, it would probably not be very fun to use. So Terry got taken out there because, like I said, he is squishy, and these hack sources are definitely nothing to sneeze at. So the amount of damage there, you can see the purple chunks coming out of our HP gauges on the side there every time we get hit, and it's pretty significant. So fighting like 3 of them at once there, really dangerous. Obviously I had it easy with that one that we fought at the beginning of the end of the last episode rather. But fighting this many at once, this is like a really high level of violence we're dealing with here. And of course Jessica is doing a really good job of healing us to counteract the DPS that we're receiving from this thing. And I should be able to take it out pretty quickly now. I may have to use Elena's. I don't think I'll have to use it. I mean, it would make things much easier, but I don't want to overwhelm you guys with the same repetitive animations over and over again of having to watch their coup de grace. I really want to use it when it's necessary. Alright, now that's what I'm talking about. A nice, tough battle. Looking forward to plenty of more of those to come.
Losing was never an option.